Design concepts may be bold, non-conformist, mind-boggling, as in the concept of deconstructivism, a development of postmodern architecture characterized by ideas of fragmentation, manipulating the surface, the structure's skin, non-rectilinear shapes that are distorted or dislocated. And in architecture, we see examples of deconstructivism like this, which sometimes looks like a house or a cluster of houses in the squatter area. But for this one particular building, it lands in the shiny pages of a magazine. But here is an example of a deconstructivist landscape where the surfaces are distorted, and if you try to enjoy or go through that landscape, you might distort yourself too. So it's deconstructivist. Concepts are largely nature-loving or clean life-oriented. Ebenezer Howard advocated in 1898, after the Industrial Revolution in America, that a town should be planned for healthy living, surrounded by a permanent belt of green. So he envisioned cities to develop along lines of large landscape gardens and walkable streets where you can walk without getting run over by vehicles. Concepts may be that's organic, designing with nature, in the famous example of the Frank Lloyd's Falling Water, where he designed a building that seemed to have grown out of the stone, okay, without bothering to change the landscape, keeping the water where it is. So it's like the building was just a growth out of the stone. If he had other ideas, and of course maybe that will not make him as famous as he is now, he could have built a building of steel and glass, and maybe that we will not know what Falling Water was all about. Of course, a building like this that is stuck into the ground, okay, and a window peeking out of the ground like an eye of a hidden dragon. Here is a very interesting design by not a landscape architect though, but by a botanist, a French botanist named Patrick Blanc. Okay, he designed. It's designed by Jean Nouvel, but installed by Patrick Blanc. For a place like Paris, okay, he made two examples. They implemented the vertical landscaping, allowing plants to grow on walls without the benefit of soil. So the plants are supported by hydroponics. Okay. How they can maintain it in a country that's temperate climate, I am really amazed. So we should be able to do the same here in the Philippines, because we have all year round season of no winter. Here's another example of roof gardens in a country like Austria. For a while I thought that there was another city on top of this, but this is really just roof gardens. Okay? So we're really waiting for this to happen here in the Philippines. Design concepts can be humanistic. In architecture, we have the concept of universal design. The concept of universal design talks about non-discriminating design, meaning to say a design that doesn't have to say this is disabled friendly. It's just friendly, period, to everybody. Okay. So there is an advocacy group called the Center for Universal Design, as well as Universal Design Education Project, that monitors designs all over the world. These examples in the landscape shows how a city can be blind friendly. So the installation of pavers or tiles like this allow the blind to be able to move around the city without any help. And this building apparently won an award for universal design because it is used useful and marketable to any group of users, demands low physical effort. The main rooms are well dimensioned for elderly and disabled people and for children. And the use of materials and the indoor climate reduces uncomfortable conditions. So I hope to be able to inspire some architects here to go along the lines of universal design. Most of all, design concepts must be legible and memorable. In the case of the barge, which is a building conceptualized out of a boat sail. Now, this building is best located in a landscape of water, right? So that you enhance the meaning of the building. So if you try to transplant this building in a place like Makati or Ortigas Center, then that building architecture might not be as legible as it is now in this setting. In the same manner, this design made by Calatrava in the mountains echoes not just the colors but the texture of the mountains. Now, this calls for memorability because if you try to copy this building in an urban area, it's possible that people will recognize it and say, design ni Calatrava. Okay? So meaning to say, we need to do designs that people will remember because you place them in the context, in its proper context. Did I hear a bell? Okay, sorry. Okay, so when we, to secure the workability, relevance, and practicability of our concepts, it is necessary to test them against a set of principles. So we shift now from concept to principles. A principle is a comprehensive and fundamental law, doctrine, or assumption. It is an abstract rule that can be applied in many experiences. So design principles are those that govern the relationships of the elements used in a composition to organize them into a logical, acceptable, executable whole. So now, my dear friends, you see, when we talk about concepts, concepts are our own expressions of creativity. But a principle is a law. You cannot change it, you have to follow it. Now, the basic design principles are those in architecture that we know and share with other artistic fields like photography, painting, music. And they include principles of unity, balance, rhythm, scale and proportion, achievable in these terms. For example, unity in harmony and simplicity. You have a tree with a grating at the bottom that seems to be recycled material out of maybe the city belongs to an industrial zone that has a lot of this excess berry or chainsaw. A design in Zen garden where you see a stone lantern that seems to be just part of nature. A smaller version of falling water. You see water features like this where water falls directly into a drain. And the drain is quite utilitarian, but then it makes the whole design simple. We also achieve unity in contrast of texture, pattern, and color. You see a design made up of stones, largely black and white with a splash of colors. So you see its contrast, pattern, a mix of flowers, same species but different colors. Sometimes in landscape architecture, we are scared to put flowers of different colors together, but then this is an example of how good it can be. We also achieve balance in symmetry and asymmetry. An example of this, the Stonehenge, that's symmetry. The Versailles in Paris is a large-scale example of symmetrical landscape architecture. And you see that there is an axis that goes all the way from Paris to Versailles, which is this is the palace, and through the gardens. And most that happen on the left side are mirrored on the right side. There's a nice story about it, how the emperor walks through the garden, but I'll talk about it another time.